Okay guys, so I'm working on my tester skirts for my new design. And here's the thing, it's not really a new design. It's sort of just the circle skirt that I have made myself for a million years. But I wanted it to fit in my size ranges that I have for the wrap skirt. And so what needed to happen was I needed to add elastic at the back. And I've figured out how to do that and still have it be my skirt design. But the thing about it is, because of that, I wanted to have a hook and a zipper at the center back so that we could have two side pockets. What happens if I want a zipper is I can't do the usual French seams at the center back. If I can, I don't know how to do that yet. And so what I am doing is adding binding on both sides of the center back edges so that that seam will be finished as beautifully as the other seams, which will have a French seam. So see, just a bound edge will be in the center back of these skirts. So I have sewn from the bottom of where I want my zipper to be to the bottom of the skirt and pressed it, and now I'm going to add the zipper. I've changed to my favorite zipper foot, and instead of trying to mess with the zipper pull going up and down and all around, I just move my zipper up. I buy my zippers a little bit longer than I need them so I can move that out of the way, and because I'm going to put a waistband on here, it won't matter. And so I like to do a lapped zipper, and so that's really my go-to for any zipper insertion. And so I'm just going to sew down. I just keep the lap part out of the way while I sew up the other side of the zipper and keep the fabric nestled up against the zipper teeth. And there's the zipper, and I just need to press that so that the lap will stay closed, and there's our zipper in place. I'm just going to talk about pockets. Because I use French seams, there's a little bit of more of a process to this. So I'm going to take my pockets and I'm going to put them wrong sides together. Now, often when you're sewing, you're going to sew things right sides together, but with a French seam, you do wrong sides together. First, I put the top of the pocket at 3 inches from the top of the skirt body and pin that in place. I'm I'm just going to do one pocket for now, and well, actually that's not true. I'll do all the pockets for now, and then I'll show you how. So let me get all the pockets pinned in place, and then we'll talk. So this seam is sewn at 1/8 of an inch, and then there's a clip put on each side, and then the seam is trimmed along down to as small as it can be, and then this is pressed so that right sides are together. I don't know if you can see that. And then there's going to be a seam sewn right along here, and that will finish the pocket before I sew the side seams together. Okay, so the side seams first. I pinned it all together and matched up the pockets, and I sew 1/4 of an inch down so it comes right to the side seam, to the pocket seam right there. Then when I get to the pocket, I turn. I'm going to still sew 1/4 of an inch. These pockets, I didn't cut them out very well, and so they're not matching up, so, but I don't care because I'm going to trim that off and it'll match up fine after I trim it. And around, and then up again to the where the side seam meets the pocket. Turn. And down to the bottom. Oops. I don't know why these pins don't stay in place. I'm going to go down all the way to the bottom. And now I'll trim these seams, press it to the other side, and then I'll sew on the inside, and I'll show you when it's done. Okay, so everything has been trimmed and pressed, and now I'm going to sew along this seam again so that everything is enclosed. Just sew around here. But you can see why some people avoid doing a French seam, because it is a little bit labor intensive with the, you know, sew the seam and trim it and then press it and then sew it again. It's just a lot of extra work, as opposed to what a lot of clothing that you see in the store has an overlocked edge, and so it's much more quick, but it's way less beautiful on the inside than a skirt sewn like this. Some people don't really care about how the inside of their clothes look, and you might be saying, what's the big deal? But it also increases the durability of the garment. So you can see this is now all completely finished, and if you look on the outside, the pocket is completely finished, and the seam is on the inside, so you can't see that. Now I have one more side to sew, and then I'm going to attach the waistband, which I've already put interfacing on this, and I've sewn these seams and turned them right side out, and then I'm going to attach this to the waist of the skirt, and then I'll come back and show you. So the waistband is now attached. You can see here's the zipper. There's a little bit of an overlap here at the top of the waistband where the hooks will go. You can see there. And so I need to add elastic on each side of the waistband so that the skirt will fit the size that it's made for, which is a 42-inch waist to a 48 to 50-inch waist. And I'll be using this elastic to do that. And then after the elastic is installed on the inside of the waistband, on the back side, then I will fold this up and I will hand sew this waistband in place. And I need to get rid of this extra zipper. And also I buy my zippers extra long, so I cut this off, and so I'll add a tab to the bottom of this to neaten it up. And so there you go. And I'll show you this when it's fully finished. Or actually, I'll show you how I do my hand sewing. I talked about hand sewing the waistband, but I forgot that I hadn't hemmed it yet. And so I've made enough skirts and hemmed them that I'm super good at eyeballing a 1/4 of an inch. And I just do a rolled hem on a cotton skirt. Some skirts, if they have some extra detailing on them, I do a different kind of hem binding. But if it's a cotton smooth fabric, then I can just do a rolled hem like this. But hemming a circle skirt takes some time, and it takes some patience, because it's a lot of fabric, and I just keep going like this and keep the Netflix movies coming. That's what I do. Do you guys ever get so attached to a series when you're binging a series, and then when the series is over you're disappointed and you kind of miss the characters? I do all the time. Anyway, I'll finish this and then I'll be back to show you the hand sewing. So each waistband is hand sewn on the inside. It adds strength, and also I like the look of it better than a top stitched or stitched in the ditch waistband. I like how it looks on the inside better. So when you're hand stitching, I just grab a few threads here at the stitching line and then a little bit at the edge here, just like that. So it takes a little bit of time, but I feel like it's really worth the extra effort in the end. I do go across and put pins all the way across so that it keeps everything organized and neat and lined up, so I don't have to worry about trying to line everything up as I'm going. This, I do wear a thimble when I'm hand stitching. This fabric is pretty lightweight cotton, and so it doesn't require the use of a thimble, but there are some heavier fabrics that I use that a thimble is necessary to push the needle through, because these needles they're pokey at the end, and so it's nice to have a thimble if you need it, but this fabric doesn't seem to need it. Alright, so I'm gonna finish this, and then I'll be back to show you how I finish off these skirts. This is the last kind of big part of putting them together, and then the rest there's little details that need to happen, and I'll show you how I do that. Oh no, I broke my thread. Well, I better go rethread my needle, and I'll talk to you guys later. Now that the waistband is put on, I'm gonna sew these hooks. I like to use hooks that are normally used in slacks because they're a little bit wider and they're great for a wide waistband like this. I put 2 hooks on the waistband. The top one about 1/4 of an inch from the top edge, and the bottom one will go down about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom edge. And so I just sew back and forth in an X. A lot of times I want this to be really well attached. And then I'm gonna cut and I'm gonna sew here, and I'll do the same thing over here, and then I'll add another hook down here, and then I'll be back. Okay, so the hooks are in place, and so they just go there, and that's hidden. And now I will add my label, which will go right here, and I'll hand sew that in. Let's see. This is just, oops. This is just a quick little job. Something happened there. I'll have to go back and fix it. Tie another knot. Well, that wasn't a very good job of tying a knot. But so there's that. Now, this isn't the last step. What I will do next is go through this skirt, and I'll go around and look at every part of this skirt that I sewed, and make sure that there are no threads hanging, but you can see, oh, see right here, these threads, and I'll just go back and trim any threads that are like that, and then look at the bottom and make sure that the hem is good, and then I will press this skirt and I'll show you the finished product. Okay, so here she is all finished. I did need to pin her on the sides a little bit because this is a skirt for one of my testers, and so it's not quite my size. But you can see the back has this elastic for comfort, but it doesn't really make this a gathered skirt in the back. It just adds a little space for comfort. Isn't that a beauty?